Gives you some insight into who my mother is as well. But we grew up in a neighborhood called South Shore on the south side of Chicago. Yes, South Shore in the house. We are everywhere on the south side. We just come everywhere. But when we moved into the neighborhood, it was a mixed neighborhood, mixed race neighborhood, and it was working class to middle class, which is one of the reasons why we moved there, to go to better schools. We lived with my Aunt Robbie, and she was a teacher, so she was able to own her own home. She was married to my uncle, we called him Terry. He was a Pullman porter. So they had a stable income and was able to buy a house in South Shore. So the neighborhood was mixed. And that meant the schools were mixed. So in kindergarten and first grade, my classrooms, I put a school picture in my book to show you the diversity that was there. But what was going on in the 70s was what we call white flight. And all my little white friends that I had, and I had plenty of them, they started literally disappearing before my eyes. And I didn't realize until I'd grown up and learned about segregation and the whole issue of pushing folks fleeing out of communities as black families moved in, was that the neighborhood was starting to change. And so we started to feel those effects, not just in friends leaving, but a disinvestment in the neighborhood, and we felt it in the school. So second grade comes around, and it was the first time I was in a chaotic classroom, where erasers were flying and teachers weren't teaching, and I knew this as a second grader. And I would come home with my little lunch, my bologna, and I'd come sit, because you came home for lunch back then, lived around the corner. We'd turn on All My Children, and we'd watch the shows, and I'd have my bologna sandwich, and I would complain. Be like, Mom, this class, you will never believe it. We didn't even get homework, and I was that kind of kid, It was like, we are not learning enough in this class. How will we make it in third grade? I was this kind of worrier. It's like,
what were your friends saying who you brought home with you?
They were all saying, because we had girls that came with us. We traveled in packs, and we were all complaining. It's like, this needs to change, and we were just complaining. And my mom did the mom thing of like, and we thought she was just listening and just, humoring us. But little did we know, she was back up at that school, and she was making some moves. And what happened was that a few of us got tested out into the third grade because of my mother and the advocacy of other mothers. But I tell this story because I knew even at that age that I wasn't being invested in as a second grader. And sometimes we like to pretend that kids don't know when they're being shortchanged and devalued. And I'm here to tell you that I knew that at second grade. So as we look at school inequality and things aren't right, kids know when they are not being valued, and it makes them feel some kind of way. And I was lucky to have gotten out of that classroom and into a better classroom, but that wouldn't have happened if I didn't have a parent at home who was also one of my fiercest advocates and understood the difference between whining and real distress.
So from there, you went on